We will start off, as I normally do, with my chairman's statement. Can I welcome all members and officers to this special meeting on development control, which has been convened as a hybrid meeting. This meeting is being recorded and will be available via the Council's website and be viewed as soon as possible following this meeting. Everyone participating in this meeting will be attended from either the Council chamber or remote locations. The meeting agenda pack can be viewed on the Council's website. Members and officers will be speaking at various points during the meeting, and those speaking may switch their microphones on at that point. At all other times, attendees should keep their microphones off. Please could members attending remotely keep their cameras on for the duration of the meeting. Please do not use your microphones until I invite you to do so. Officers from Democratic Services will be supporting the meeting. In the event of a vote, the Democratic Services Officer will call out the names of the members in attendance. They can vote for, against, or abstain. The result of the vote will be announced. It will also look at officers in attendance and introduce themselves, and as and when I invite them to speak. I will now go to the agenda items. Number 1, apologies. I've had Councillor Richard Williams and Councillor Alan Waltham has given their apologies. Have we got any more apologies?
Gary Haynes, I think.
Oh, Gary Haynes, is it? Right, thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you for that. Any declarations of interests? Let me just go through then. Right, Mark John, please.
Sorry, Chair, I haven't declared anything.
Oh, okay, it came on. All right. Let's go then. Jonathan Pratt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Agenda item 6, personal. My wife works in Avonabellin Primary School, which is mentioned in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. Stephen?
Thank you, Chair. I have a personal interest in this item as I have a young granddaughter who potentially will go to the school that we're going to be discussing today.
Okay.
So I got one question very quickly from the monitoring officer. We had some training recently from Rodri, who sort of said that a ward member can represent the residents. However, that would be seen as prejudicial and therefore they would leave. Is it important for that declaration to be made early in the process or as the process goes on?
Well, I'll do that now. I've got a non-pecuniary interest. I will be leaving the meeting after item 6. Okay? The Vice Chair will be taking the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. This wasn't particularly about today. This was more of that we had it in a training session and thinking about my own ward.
Yeah.
Because we are all ward members, is it important, which I think it is. You've answered my question, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Okay, there's no public speakers today. You've all seen the amendment sheet, I hope. Yeah, it's for both schools. Development guidance is just for noting. And now I'm going to leave the meeting and hand over to my number 2, Councillor Simon Griffiths, to deal with number 6 and number 7 with you. And thank you, Simon. Let me just leave the meeting, Simon.
Thank you, Chair. Are we okay in the chamber to continue?
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you. My apologies for today. I was only notified that I would be chair early this morning, so I would have otherwise come into the chamber to chair the meeting. So please, if you could all bear with me through today, because it'll be a little bit difficult to do this remotely. And so a little bit of forbearance for yourselves would be very helpful. I think we've covered items 1 and 2 of the agenda. Is that correct? So I think we're on to item 3 now. Are there any public speakers today, Jonathan?
No public speakers today, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we move on to the amendment sheet then. Is there an amendment sheet, and is it with everybody?
Yeah, there is an amendment sheet. It is updated committee from the site visit yesterday. So I think we need to have that moved and seconded or accepted.
I move.
Okay, anybody against? Okay, thank you very much. We move on to the Development Control Committee guidance for noting. Any changes to the guidance, Jonathan?
No changes, Chair.
Okay, and that's just for noting, so we don't need to vote, I don't think, so we can move on to item 6. So I'll call on Officer Stephen Jenkins then to walk us through item 6, please.
Thank you, Chair. For the purpose of the record, my name is Stephen Jenkins. I'm the Development Control Team Leader for the West of Bridgend. This application seeks full planning permission for minor demolition works and the construction of a new English medium school, which will replace the existing Kennelly Primary School and Avon Primary School. The school is part 2-storey and part single-storey. It'll accommodate 2 nursery, 2 reception, 4 infant and an assisted learning need classroom on the ground floor and 8 junior classrooms on the first floor. It'll provide 420 primary school places, 60 nursery places and 15 assisted learning needs places. The school, once completed, would employ around 47 teaching staff and 32 ancillary staff. The main access to the school will be from Healer Park, creating a new entrance plaza. Staff parking and additional pedestrian access will be provided from Aila Bryn and Plas Morlais. 38 staff parking spaces will be provided in total and 3 drop-off bays for assisted learning needs. 10% of the parking will be for electric vehicle charging. The development will also provide 30 covered cycle storage units. In addition to the new school building, the development will also provide a multi-use games area and all-weather pitch, along with extensive landscaping. The new facilities, such as the multi-use games area and all-weather pitch, will be available for community use on a bookable basis through the school. There's also a new controlled crossing, which is proposed off Healer Park. During the course of the application, we received 1 letter of objection, which is addressed and summarised within the officer's report. Kennelly Community Council raised concerns with regards to traffic management when the school is being built and the school still being open, with regards to the safety of children and there being a recent accident on Healer Park, which demonstrates the traffic conditions on that road. They also requested that Swift bricks or Swift boxes are fitted while the schools are being built, as these birds come into the area during the summer months. This has been considered and conditions have been recommended relating to construction traffic management and the erection of Swift boxes. Furthermore, highway implications and the proposed access has been addressed within the report. No objection has been received from specialist consultees, which include environmental health, ecology, highways, drainage and NRW. However, it should be noted, a holding objection has been received from Welsh Water due to a sewer and water main easement near the artificial grass pitch to the north of the site. To overcome this, a condition has been imposed to ensure no work is undertaken in the area where these assets are until a scheme to establish if any Welsh Water apparatus are compromised by the development and necessary diversion or mitigation is agreed prior to any works being allowed in that area. The school has been designed having a regard having regard to advice from the local planning authority to minimise any impacts upon the surrounding properties. The scheme has also evolved, having regard to highway comments, and the pedestrian access has been removed from Gibbons Way. The school has a bright and vibrant appearance, creating a welcoming atmosphere for pupils and visitors and adding visual interest to the area. The aesthetics, combined with a well-considered building form and size, delivers a school capable of fully meeting modern educational needs, whilst also reflecting its status as a valuable community destination and facility. The proposed school is a vital part of the local authority's Bridgend West School modernisation scheme, which will provide a new modern English primary school and external sports facilities that can be used by the wider community. On balance, and having regard to the objection received, it's considered that the proposal represents an appropriate form of development that would have no unacceptable impacts on visual amenity, residential amenity, drainage, ecology, the environment, or highway safety. As such, the proposal is recommended for approval, subject to the conditions set out within the officer's report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And I just want to thank officers actually for a development of this size to come to the committee with so few objections. I think it marks a really good collaboration between yourselves and the community. So thank you very much for all of your efforts in bringing this. This is a really substantial piece of work. So thank you very much. So I'll open it to questions then. So Councillor John first, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, no, I my apologies. I didn't go to the site meeting, but I went there on my own because I couldn't make yesterday morning. So I decided to take it upon myself to go and have a look personally. I suppose my question is, have we learned anything from drop-off areas? And I put that as in regards to Bremenning Junior School and many other schools which are newly built that have got drop-off areas but are not usable because of health and safety reasons, apparently. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor John, for a very good question. So Stephen, please.
Thank you, Chair. For the purpose of the recording, my name is Lee Tuck. I am the Principal Highway Development Control Officer. Yes, there is drop-off concerns throughout the borough, and the Education Department have met on this many times and decided that drop-offs within school boundaries are no longer acceptable, and that has what has been replicated here. All we have is staff parking and then a drop-off for children that are less abled or have special needs that have a taxi. So we're hoping that the catchment is 90% within 1 mile here, and that there will be no need for any cars to drop off here, as most students will be walking. But yes, we have learned from other sites, and this doesn't include a drop-off area. Is that your question, Councillor John? Sorry.
Yes, it was a generic question, really, regarding. So basically, what my understanding of your answer is, we've learned about the drop-off areas, so we haven't got a drop-off area. Would that be right?
Yes, that's correct, Councillor John. We have learned from them. They do pose problems for the actual school to manage. Yeah, and this is the Highway Authority. Felt that whilst we prefer them to be off the highway, we don't end up managing these situations, and it is up to the school to do that. And therefore, it's that we now leave them out. Other than when it's a Welsh medium, where obviously we've got coaches that need to come in from a much larger catchment area. Then that takes a different priority and a different assessment. But certainly for English medium schools, no drop-off areas are provided.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Councillor Harrison, please.
Thank you, Chair. Could you just reiterate the ages of the children that will be going to this school, the age range?
Thank you, Chair. I'll come in on that. I think it's 4 to 11, so it's from a nursery, so when they start school up until they leave to go to comprehensive, so 4 to 11.
And we think that parents are going to be walking 4-year-olds to school. That's all I've got to say anyway. It coincides with Councillor John's question.
Anybody want to respond to that? Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
I'll come in on that, Chair. Is it a question or is it an observation, Councillor? Sorry.
Well, more of an going along with Councillor John saying about the drop-off points. Children of 4-year-old being walked to school by parents, I personally can't see that happening. So it's more of a sort of observation statement, if you like, than a question.
Okay.
But thank you for the opportunity to say.
I take the point, but that's what we're trying to encourage is people to walk to school with parents. And when they're older, the kids, when they're older, they can make their own way to school. I don't see that as being an unachievable ambition. But I think that the point that Lee has just made is that we won't be supporting in every case with the school is a vehicular drop-off point. Because what you'll end up with is schools that are dominated by tarmac and cars rather than play areas, and that's not good 21st century planning. But the aspiration is, yes, if the pupils are coming from the local area, then there will be an expectation that you would walk there rather than drive, and appreciate that that's not always going to be the case, and there's going to be circumstances where that's not possible, or adverse weather may have an influence on that. But generally, that's the aspiration that we have from Welsh Government planning policy and in our own LDP. Lee, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to that, Lee.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Howson. It is a really good question. It's something that I battle with on these applications, especially when we do get quite a lot of wet weather, and and they are young. But as I say, the catchment is very close in this community. It's unusually close compared to other schools that I've dealt with. I have put a condition for a travel plan for the school to create a travel plan in conjunction with our active travel section, and that then hopes to encourage and reward the children for doing things. So it's not just basically, we're not giving you drop off, deal with it. We're trying to say, well, we're not giving you drop off, but there are ways that we're going to start to encourage and reward children for doing things that ordinarily they wouldn't do. There will be an active travel champion. And we've seen in certain other schools, especially in Porthcawl, where you've got these sort of walking buses where certain parents are keen to take the children, a group of children, in one go, and it's quite an event for them. They do enjoy that, rather than it being one child and one parent being dragged to school in the rain, if you like. So there are a lot of measures we are putting in place to try and encourage that, get people out their cars. But I do appreciate your point that some will drive, but we are trying to make that change, and hopefully we'll do that through the travel plan.
I totally agree with your explanation, and it is a good thing. Do you think perhaps we should start rewarding the drivers, not the children? Yeah. Thank you for that. Anyway,
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. I think we're all aware of issues around schools, and I think maybe this is something that we can pick up in a future committee about what our guidance is around the schools, because I think it is difficult to do between the Highways Authority, the planning, and also the Education Department. So maybe that's something we can pick up offline. I'll go to Councillor Llewellyn Hopkins, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, you've mentioned places for ALN children. What types of additional learning needs will the school cater for, please?
I'm not sure the planning officers necessarily have that. Do you have that, Stephen?
We don't know, but I believe it's not any serious conditions. So as children are not with severe learning disabilities or anything like that. But I don't know the ins and outs of what capacity it's required there.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. I'll go on to Councillor Barrow, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's only one thing that I mentioned yesterday about the lights in the road on the pavements. Could we have them in all schools in future and all developments? I don't know if it's.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. So these are lights outside the school. Is that what you're asking for?
No, they're on, Simon. They're on the road.
On the road.
On the pavement. By the curbstones.
Okay, Lee, maybe you could answer that one.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Barrow. And yes, I do remember our conversation yesterday. It is something we're looking at. It's something I've seen on my travels, especially in Holland and in Spain, where people are looking down at their phone, not looking at the lights that are above head height, above 2 meters. And then we have coloured lights in the footway that tell pedestrians what state or stage the lights are at. We are looking at that. I've spoken to our traffic management team and our road safety team, and it's something that we will be looking at for this school. Unfortunately, they're very difficult to retrofit into the highway, so it normally comes as a complete package of a new signalised crossing. So going forward, where we do need signalised crossings, we will be putting them in. And we'll also be looking at the timing. So it's a timer that shows how long the red light will be on for, to allow children and parents to see how long they've got before it's going to change back to green, and hopefully that will add an extra level of safety.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. I think for yourself, Lee, I like 2 meters is probably okay. For somebody who's only half a meter tall, maybe it's the 2 meter height is a bit more struggle. So maybe that's something we can look at going forward. Thank you very much. I don't see any other hands up. So I think, are we ready to determine? I think any final questions? So in that case, could I put this to a vote, please? I'm not sure, are we all using mod.gov today, or are we going to do a show of hands? In fact, let me just circumvent that. Like, can I have a propose in a second, please?
Yes, I second.
Okay, and if I ask a simple question, is there anybody against? Just Gillian, if you could nod, are you happy with that as a determination?
Yes, Chair, that's unanimous.
Okay,
as I
thank you very
understand
much.
it.
That's great. Well, thank you all very much. Let's move on to the next item then, please, which is item 7 in the agenda, Connelly Primary School, pages 51 to 96 in your packs today. And if I could ask Stephen again to introduce this one.
Thank you, Chair. So this application seeks full planning permission for the demolition of the 2 existing primary schools, Connelly Primary, which is an English medium, and Ysgol y Ferch y Sgêr, a Welsh medium, and the construction of a new Welsh medium primary school, which will eventually accommodate the pupils from Ysgol y Ferch y Sgêr. There's also another school on this site, Connelly Children's Centre, which is a preschool that is going to be retained. The demolition and construction would be phased to deliver the new school whilst the existing school continues to operate. There would be a small demolition of part of one wing of the Connelly Primary School during school holidays to enable the new school construction to be completed. Again, this school shares a very similar design to the one we've just looked at. It's part 2-storey, part single-storey. It'll have 2 nursery classrooms, 2 reception classrooms, 4 infant classrooms on the ground floor, and 8 junior classrooms on the first floor. It'll provide 420 primary school places and 60 nursery places. The school, once complete, would employ around 45 teaching staff and 29 ancillary staff. So the main pedestrian and bus pickup drop-off will be off Hall Drive, leading to a new entrance plaza. Staff parking and additional pedestrian access will be provided from Greenfield Terrace. The Connelly Children's Centre will also be accessed from Greenfield Terrace, 46 staff parking spaces will be provided in total and accessed off Greenfield Terrace. In addition to this, 20 spaces will be provided for the Children's Centre. 10% of all the spaces will have electric charging provision, and the development will also provide 30 covered cycle storage units. In addition to the new school building, the development will provide 2 multi-use games areas and a playing field, along with this extensive landscaping. The new school facilities, again, same as the other site, will be available for community use outside of the school hours, bookable through the school. Members should note on this application that during the course of the planning application, the local highways officer raised a fundamental objection to the use of Greenfield Terrace for the access and egress for the proposed coach drop-off and pick-up area. This objection is due to a conflict between large vehicles and other vehicles on Greenfield Terrace during school start and finish times, which is exacerbated with the adjacent proposed Marla School. The local authorities highways officer advised that the school coach drop-off and pick-up vehicle access would need to be moved from Greenfield Terrace. As such, the plans have been amended to show the coach drop-off pick-up relocated to the Hall Drive access instead, which is adjacent to the main school entrance. The original bus drop-off area has been removed from the proposal and will be landscaped. The amended plans detailing this change have recently been received and are still out to consultation, with the consultation period due to end on the 13th of August 2025. However, due to the tight timescales with the local authorities, Education Department has to deliver the school, this application is being presented to Planning Committee to make a resolution subject to no new material objections being received before the end of this consultation period. During the course of the application, we've received 3 letters of objection that cover a wide range of topics which have been summarised within the officer's report. Kennelly Community Council raised concerns with traffic management when the school is being built, and they also raised issues with Swifts, similar to the other school. So there's conditions being recommended in relation to Swift bird boxes, traffic management, etc. We haven't received any objections from any specialist consultees on this application. And it should be noted we've had extensive discussions with Environmental Health and Highways during the course of this applications, and there's numerous conditions recommended with regards to noise and highway and pedestrian safety. The school has been designed to minimise any impacts upon the surrounding properties and also allow the existing school to function whilst works are being undertaken. The scheme has also evolved, as I just mentioned, to have regard to the bus and coach drop-off since its original submission. The building's appearance is purposely designed to be bright and vibrant, creating a welcoming atmosphere for pupils and visitors and adding significant visual interest and colour to the local streetscape. The aesthetics, coupled with a well-considered building form and size, delivers a facility capable of fully meeting modern educational needs, whilst also reflecting its status as a valuable community destination. The proposed school is a vital part of the local authority's Bridgend West School modernisation scheme, which would provide a modern Welsh medium primary school and external sports facilities, which can be used by the wider community. On balance, and having regard to the objections raised, it's considered that the proposal represents an appropriate form of development that had no unacceptable impacts on visual amenity, residential amenity, drainage, ecology, the environment, or highway safety. As such, the proposal is recommended for approval, subject to conditions set out within the officer's report, and a decision notice issued after the consultation period ends on the 13th of August, subject to there being no new or further material objections being received. Thank you, Chair. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And again, I'd like to reiterate my thanks for officers. Again, it's a substantial and a very important development for us and for the children of the borough. So I welcome an application that has so few strong objections. and again, it's very difficult to do this type of work in a already urban and built up area. So I'll go to questions then. So Councillor John, please.
Once again, Chair. Yeah, no, I haven't got it written down, but I noticed that there's a lower number of staff at this school compared to the last, but more parking spaces. What sort of equation is used for staff and helpers car parking spaces, please? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor John. So Lee, maybe you could pick that one up.
Yes, thank you, Councillor John. We use the parking standards SPG 17, which gives us the calculations, and this falls within the maximum that they can provide. And the other school falls within the maximum as well. So the standards are maximums, and they can go anywhere between that maximum down to 1, as long as they don't exceed the maximum, which neither of the schools do. Thank you.
If I may just reiterate a question, Lee, from Councillor John there, which is, so is this particular one at the maximum and the other one substantially lower? And is there a reason for that difference?
Yes, thank you, Chair. That's correct. Yes, this one, the English medium school is lower, and this one is closer to the maximum. And I think it's purely down to accommodation on site. The other school is very much constrained. And potentially we have a lot of other users here. We have the Children's Centre, and we also have Welsh medium teachers, which tend to come from further away, although not part of my calculation. But that is something that obviously the designer of this scheme and the Education Authority think about. But again, not part of my calculation. I just know that it's within the SPG limits. Okay.
Thank you very much, Lee. If I could go on to Councillor Collins, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just an observation, and my apologies if I've missed some of the detail in the officer's report, but it strikes me, and I'm sure it would concern other committee members, regarding health and safety aspects around a site which will be maintained as ongoing education site for young children, whilst demolition and building work is carried on adjacent to the site. What view have officers got, and what, as an authority, have we got in terms of public liability aspects to this, the management? And I understand that when it's probably, on a live situation like this, you're anticipating things on a day-to-day basis. Where does the liability lie, bearing in mind the school are managing kids on site, the contractors will be managing their new site? It's around health and safety my concerns are. So if the officer would like to give us a little bit more detail, I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Collins. I'm not sure, is that yourself, Stephen, maybe?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor, for the question. I mean, there's several conditions in there in relation, from the planning side of things, in relation to the demolition timings, methods, things like that. But ultimately, the management of that would be for the school, and obviously the health and safety in terms of keeping those children safe during those works. I mean, it's not uncommon. Many schools get redeveloped. Unfortunately, the ideal scenario is where you could knock the school down and rebuild a new one, but unfortunately they can't do that. So they have to do it as best as they can and keep the school running whilst the building is being managed. But that would be for the Education Authority then to appropriately manage that during school times.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stephen. Councillor Barrow, please.
Could I come back in on that second?
Yes,
Chair,
yes. Jonathan, please do.
One point. Yeah, I think Steve has sort of summarised as a planning position, and we've done all we can under the planning legislation to sort of try and minimise any impacts. It's not without precedent. We did Pennyvale Primary School in a similar situation quite a few years ago now, and that was a school that continued operation once the new one was being built. So it's something that we, as an authority, we have done previously. But there's ultimately the sort of liability rests with the contractors. They are subject to their own health and safety legislation, separate rules and regulations, and they will be ultimately responsible for any health and safety issues that arise or occur on that site. not necessarily materially a planning matter, but what we've done under planning legislation is ensure that everything as possible has been taken into account before the work actually starts. But while it's ongoing, there's other legislation that should also ensure that health and safety of the users, the kids and the teachers of the existing part of the school are met. And so I hope that clarifies the position. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I saw Councillor Barrow's hand go up and then go down again. Did you want to come in first, Councillor Barrow?
Yeah, it's all I was going to say. It was discussed yesterday with the architect. Or who do we have there yesterday? The girl. She said it's a specialist contractor coming in to do all this job. They're supposed to be the best for doing knocking down and building and when schools are in operation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barrow, for that information. Councillor Easterbrook, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think the refurbishment or the addition of the schools is a fantastic thing. It's really good to sort of see that investment being put in place. That you've only got to look at the plans and you've only got to be on the site visit yesterday to realise that they're both within walking distance, and you're going to have two major projects. So we were told yesterday that maybe the English-speaking one will be started within a year. That we are told that the one will be open and normal while the other one is going on. The roads are pretty narrow, surrounded by adjacent B roads, which are pretty narrow. When we talk about all this active travel, I think that the people that live in and around the area that are going to use that school actually jump in their cars to go to the local Tesco's. So they will be doing it, but we're encouraging parents to walk their children, which is the right thing. I remember coming down Sarn Hill from the Kimber estate down to Pandy School. So walking isn't a new thing. However, most people now have a lot more cars than before. My concern really is about the construction, the traffic management plan that is going to be in place. I think that is absolutely crucial to this construction. We're talking about safety, we're talking about other people having responsibility. Ultimately, whether it be on social media or in the press or local residents, of which we as committee members sit on this committee, but we also represent the residents. We don't have a prejudicial interest. Those that do have left this meeting, but we still need to look at the residents. The fact that there have been no major objections to it, I think that when this actually happens, there's going to be a lot of traffic on those few roads. So the fact of, I think that, I don't know our obligation of enforcing the traffic management plan, but that is going to be absolutely crucial to the success of this.
Thank you, Councillor Easterbrook. Maybe I can ask Lee to make a comment on the two bills going on in a small vicinity, and how that will impact the traffic flow in the area.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Easterbrook. It's a good question, and it's one we've thought long and hard about, and therefore I've tied both of the applications together in terms of the construction traffic management plan, so one must complement the other. We are looking at many things, but primarily it's a pre-commencement condition. Nothing can happen without that being agreed, because it is so vital. There will, be no movement of construction vehicles at the peak traffic times of when children are walking. That is a given. We are looking at having holding areas somewhere near the roundabout that takes you down to the M4 for vehicles to hold. Whilst and if they'll be in constant communication with the school. So if the school says, "Oh, we've got a swimming trip today, a school trip, please hold," then that will be replicated in the construction traffic management plan as well. That constant dialogue. So that is in there. It is key to the development. It's key to this going forward safely. So there isn't many pre-commencement conditions, but this is one of them because it's unavoidable. We need to know that up front. Having spoken to education as well at length, that once the contractor is decided and appointed, that is part of their contract as well. So that sits outside of highways, but is also part of their contract. So there's many ways that we can enforce this, not just through planning, but also through monetary, through the contract that they have to build the school. So I'm happy that we're covered in all areas.
Thank you very much, and I think it's very wise to link these two things together. So thank you very much.
Chair, can I just thank our officer for that reassurance, because many roads lead to one place. However, lots of lorry drivers do not always follow the right route, and they know that there are many ways into there, but there should be one way in, because it would just be a pile-up, really. Not a pile-up, but it would be congestion to the max. So thank you for the reassurance.
Thank you very much, Councillor Easterrow, for a great question. I'm so open to any other questions before we move on to a vote. So just before we vote, let me just clarify the process here. Because the consultation is not yet complete, what we're voting on today is to determine this. Oh, I'll give way to Councillor Hughes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think I indicated to speak, but for some reason the hand went down. If I could refer to page 84, paragraph 22, about the multi-use games area where there are time restrictions, basically up to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Question I got is if this is if you like, a county standard, because I understand that we have to respect the considerations of residents living in the neighbouring area. Bearing in mind that there are some sound barriers, acoustic barriers being incorporated into the plan. Would these hours be perhaps too restrictive in terms of some of the local sports children's clubs in the area who might wish to make use of the facility outside of school times? It does, of course, depend on the time of the year with exterior lighting, and that's obviously a condition. But I just wondered, I didn't pick it up in the previous report, so I just wondered if there's sort of some commonality or standard that's been applied, and if this has been taken into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Stephen, maybe you can respond.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor, for the question. I mean, the multi-use games area on this site is a lot more restricted in terms of the times it can be used than the other site. That's primarily down to noise and the proximity of the houses that back onto Greenfield Terrace. Even with the mitigation measures that's been proposed as part of this scheme, that would be the maximum time that would be allowed, not to have a significant effect on those residents. That's not to say that couldn't be changed in the future with different acoustic barriers or things like that, but as it stands, that's the time that would be feasible, not to have any adverse impacts on those residents. The other site's a little not as restrictive because you've got a bit more distance from them. So between the two schools, there is, the facilities would be open to the community, but as it stands, this one's a bit more restrictive in the week and obviously on the weekends. But not to say that the school couldn't try and see if they can adjust that in the future.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Any other questions? Okay, so we will move on to the vote, Bob. I just, because the consultation is still open, I'll ask Jonathan, if you can, to clarify the situation with the planning decision, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Happy to do so. Members will have noticed that the recommendation is slightly different to other recommendations we bring to you at the Development Control Committee, that we're seeking plenary powers to approve consent and issue decision notice after the end of the consultation period. Now, this is something that we can do constitutionally. It doesn't happen very often. But that said, there was a similar recommendation when we considered the hydrogen plant earlier this year. If you can recall, we didn't actually issue a decision notice on the day or make a decision on the day because there was a holding objection or a holding direction from Welsh Government. This isn't the same situation. However, because the consultation period is still running, we feel that it's necessary to allow consultees, and that includes residents in the area, the appropriate time to make their comments known to us. Now, we have discussed a lot of material considerations in this committee meeting today, and they revolve around highway, access, amenity. However, we still feel that some consultees may come back and raise issues that we've not covered today. So this recommendation would allow us to reconsider those objections, and if necessary, bring this item back to a future Development Control committee meeting. And we would seek advice from the chair once the consultation period is up. We will consider those comments, if any are made, and if necessary, we can bring it back to you members for you to consider them. So that's the reason for the recommendation today. So we won't be approving this development today, but we will seek your views as members whether you're minded to approve, subject to no further objections, material or new objections coming forward. I hope that makes it clear. I'm quite happy to clarify any points there if members have them.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. I can see I've got a couple of hands up. So Councillor Hughes first, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd agree. I think the principle is right and it's the proper way to move. Question to Jonathan is, in terms of plenary powers, would that involve the Chair and Vice Chair at the decision-making stage with the officers, or is it purely an officer decision that would be made?
Yes, how I would envisage this working is that if we had any objections that came in after today, up until the 13th of August, we would arrange with the Vice Chair, who is the Chair of this meeting, as the Councillor Granville has declared interest on these items, so he won't be involved with that decision. But we would meet with the Vice Chair, acting as Chair in this instance, and we go through those objections, and we make a decision whether that needs to come back to yourself. So it could be that the objections or comments that are raised are not material, in which case there's no point in bringing this item back to a future committee in that case. However, there could be issues that we may not be aware of. There may be new material issues that we haven't adequately covered in this meeting, and then I feel it's a legitimate expectation that those objections will be considered by this committee. So we'll make that decision based on a conference with the chair as appropriate. Bear in mind the next committee is actually the 21st of August, and it's not that far away. So there's only about a week between the consultation period ending and the next planning committee meeting or development control committee meeting. So it wouldn't be a drawn out or a long period where we would be waiting to bring this back to committee.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Councillor John, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This doesn't sit well with me, and I tell you why. I don't see as any comparison with High Bond whatsoever. I'm not sure why that was even mentioned. That was a call in by Welsh Government, totally different thing to this. But I just cannot understand the logic of this being brought before the committee when the consultation period hasn't ended. This opens us up to even potentially having something come before the committee where there is no before a consultation has started. It just doesn't sit well with me that this has come before the committee, Chair, for them reasons. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor John. Jonathan, could you respond directly to that one?
Yes, I can. And I think one of the reasons that there is an urgency with these developments, that's not necessarily a material planning consideration, but we are trying our best as a planning authority to ensure that the right decisions are made on these two schools. And again, this isn't something that we're doing that is unconstitutional, we are able to do that. But there is the backstop that we have to bring this back to a future planning committee meeting. So we're not making a decision without taking into account all of the issues that would have been raised to the consultation period. It is unusual, and I'll grant you that. The reason I mentioned High Bont was that's the last time we had to seek plenary powers, but we have done it prior to that, where there's been where the consultation period hasn't actually ended. But this is what we consider to be the best or the most appropriate route in order to get this decision made. But it does allow a consideration of any objections that come in past this date today. I understand members may be concerned about that, but it is appropriate, and I can assure you that nobody will be prejudiced as a result of this.
Thank you, Jonathan. And can I call on Gillian Dawson, please, our legal advice, to just confirm that this process is actually constitutional and correct for us, please?
Yes, Chair. It's been carefully considered by the monitoring officer and within legal, and the plenary powers are included in the Constitution. So what is proposed is in order, Chair.
Thank you very much, Gillian. So I'll go on now to another question for Councillor Easterbrook, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I totally agree with Mark John. I'm sitting here. I normally feel very comfortable in a meeting. For some reason, my little hard ticket is going. I'm feeling, Jonathan have said, I acknowledge the professionalism of the officers. We as councillors have had the training, but we don't know what the officers know. We certainly don't know what the legal officer knows, but I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable about it. And as we were talking earlier, I thought about High Bont, and that there was perhaps a feeling that High Bont would be refused. It was then taken back to Welsh Government. When Welsh Government heard that this committee had a mind to approve it, they then handed it back to us, and to me that almost is a predetermination. And I don't fully understand predetermination, but I think it's something that councillors on this committee are very wary of. And so I just want to make that point, really. But I totally agree with the feelings of Mark John.
I'm happy to come back in, Chair.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. Yes, I understand. I can quite relate to your feeling of your heart fluttering. It's probably not as much as mine is, actually, at this moment in time. But I can certainly relate to that comment. Yes, it's not something that we would normally do. And ideally, we would wait until the consultation period has ended before we bring something to members. But there is a risk to the authority as well. May not be a planning risk, but there is a risk to the authority if this decision isn't made sooner rather than later. But in planning terms, the backstop is that we're only asking members if they're minded to approve, subject to no further objections coming forward. So if after today we don't get anything, nothing comes forward, then we can issue the decision order, because we haven't not given people their right to comment. We've given them 21 days to do so. But it is, as I've mentioned previously, it is something that we are able to do, and we are mindful of the significant risk to the authority if these proposals don't go ahead. Okay.
Thank you, Jonathan. Councillor Easterbrook again, please.
Yeah, can I come back? I feel difficult being in this position where there are time restraints and where we are told that a risk to the authority, that the word planning means that it is something that is done beforehand. So somebody hasn't planned the time, or there is some urgency of it. I don't want to put this authority at risk, but also I don't want to put me as a councillor at risk by saying I don't know of anything material, and at the moment I don't see any material objections to it. So does that mean that I have a mind to approve it? And by default, I'm sure it does, yes.
So thank you, Councillor Easterbrook. I'll just re-emphasise my position as chair on this. So where we are at the moment is we don't have any material objections, but they may come in between now and the end of the consultation period. That's the key. And I think for us to be able to make this happen as quickly as possible, which is what the larger authority requires, then we've taken this approach, which is the speediest approach we can to make a determination. If there's as the condition says, if there is any material consideration that comes up as part of the consultation, then officers will bring it to myself, and then we will make the call to bring it back to DC at that point. So that this is I think I can reassure you that if anything does come up, we will come back. But to expedite the situation, we're taking this sort of slightly shortcut route through it. But it's still a very valid and legal shortcut. That's my understanding with the consultation with officers and legal representatives. So, Councillor John, please.
Yeah, thanks again, Chair. You used the word shortcut. Again, that doesn't really sit that comfortable with me. And to think that we're voting on something, or potentially voting on something, or agreeing to something, whether you think there may or may not be material objections, and I have absolutely no idea whatsoever. I'm sure no other members have any idea of what pressure this puts on the authority, as Jonathan has said. As Jonathan has also said, we've got a meeting not that far away after the consultation period. So why are we being asked to determine something before the consultation period is ended? This really doesn't sit well with me. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor John. I understand your concern there. Councillor Hughes, please.
Hi, can I just clarify, so that the consultation at this point, my understanding is, and I might be wrong, but it's just regarding where the bus bay is to bring in the children who come to school by bus. That was what was changed, and that is what we are reconsulting on. Am I clear with that?
Yes, Jonathan, do you want to answer?
Yeah, that's correct, Councillor. The amendment to the scheme was moving the coach drop-off from Greenfield Terrace to Hall Drive. That's the principal amendment, but that's quite a significant amendment, certainly if you live on Hall Drive, because when those residents were originally consulted, there was a completely different access. So we felt it was necessary to consult with those residents and to give them the appropriate amount of time to make a response. And that's, in this case, that's 21 days. That's over and above what we need to do. So that's principally the main change. The rest of the scheme is unaltered in that respect. However, we don't know what may come forward during that consultation period. Yeah, there might not be anything. Yeah.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I just want to check with Gillian. I see that Janine Nightingale, the responsible director, has her hand up. Is it relevant for Janine to be able to speak in this meeting? Just want to double check.
Chair, yes, because Janine Nightingale is director.
Okay, thank you very much, Gillian. So I'll go to Janine then, just to be sure. Thank you, Janine.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, all clearly.
Wonderful. Okay, so for the purposes of the recording, I'm Janine Nightingale. I'm the Corporate Director for Communities and actually the designated head of the local planning authority here in BCBC. So I just wanted to maybe add a little further to the conversation that we've had today. This is, as John has indicated, we have consulted on this application, and this is a reconsultation on the change that was asked with regard to the coach drop-off. So on the original consultation, there have been no objections, but we, of course, we're waiting to see if any occur as a result of the reconsultation. Now, the reason we've brought this to committee and the risk, and I have spoken with the corporate director, Lindsay Harvey, this morning, so I am going to give you a little bit more information than ordinarily we would discuss in this planning committee. We are funded by Welsh Government, the Sustainable Schools Programme, significant multi-million pound funding from Welsh Government. And they have asked the council, where are we? Are we minded to continue with these schools and build these schools out? So that is the time frame. So we would like to give an indication of where we are. Are we minded to continue this school programme? So today we would like to use the plenary powers to say, at this moment in time, if no objections come in from the reconsultation, we would be comfortable to determine this school. However, should objections come in, then we will bring this back to the committee on the 21st of August. So what we are asking you today is, are you comfortable at this stage to be minded to approve as long as no further objections come in? That's the question we're asking, because there's no objections currently. If objections come in, we will bring it to that committee on the 21st of August, and we will discuss them at that committee and determine. So that is the situation we're faced with. And the reason we're saying that is what we would like then to explain to our local government and Welsh Government colleagues, to say, yes, we have had to reconsult. It is beyond the deadline for the Welsh Government for their multi-million pound finances. But should there be an objection, we will come back to that committee. Okay, I'll stop there, Chair.
Thank you very much, Janine. I see Gillian, you'd like to speak.
Yes, Chair. Janine, the Director of Communities, said no further objections. I've just been in discussion with the Head of Planning, Jonathan Parsons. It is if no objections covering new matters come in. I hope that helps, Janine.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Because the point is that if there are objections which relate to new issues and that subject matter hasn't been put before members now, then that would make a big difference in the decision whether or not to bring it back to the next committee.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Gillian. Councillor Harrison, please.
Thank you, Chair. So if any objections should arise during the consultation period, can we be assured as a committee that any objection won't be filtered at a lower level, but every objection will come back before this committee? Thank you.
Yes, we can, with the proviso that Gillian has just outlined for us.
Yeah, it was just to make that clear to everyone that any objection will come back to the committee, because we won't see it. It will come to the planning office, and
I can,
please, Jonathan. Yes, please clarify that one, Jonathan.
I think any objection, somebody could object because they don't like the idea of the school. They could object because they don't like the colour of the building. These sort of things. You've got to be very careful that it's a material objection rather than something that's just an objection for the sake of objecting. The reason is that we don't want to waste your time as members to bring something back that's not really relevant to that particular application. So just to sort of clarify, the main issue here is the change in the access for coaches. So that's where we will be focusing on, is if somebody has an issue with that access, because they may have raised the objections already, and we have had objections. We've had quite a lot of objections to this development, but they've all been covered in the report. They've all been addressed. The only one we haven't been given the opportunity to bring to members is if somebody has an issue with that change of access, and whether the residents feel that, or any of the other consultees may think that that's not acceptable. Although we've given you the sort of highway background to that, but if they're not happy with that and they want to come and they want to bring this to committee, then that, I would say, is a material objection, is materially different. But all the other issues that have already been raised and dealt with in the officer's report, I think really going over that again is not going to help, because we've already dealt with them, we've already addressed them, and we've already discussed them as a committee. I think the case officer would also like to maybe, if members are happy, is to make one or 2 points on that specific amendment on that access, if that would help members.
Yes, please.
Thank you for that answer, John. It was just to make sure that everyone was clear on objections. Obviously, colour of the paint or whatever is regard. It was just about the objections about the bus access. So
fundamentally, that's the case. It's the change. It's the amended scheme.
Yeah.
And whatever what that implication is.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Is it all right to come in, Chair?
Yes, please.
It's only, I only wanted to point out the changes, the actual buses themselves, the access was always there. So the access was there for service vehicles and deliveries to the school. So the change that's been made is that's been altered slightly so that the buses can go in and turn around. So it's not just service deliveries and vehicles. There'll be accommodation for a maximum of 2 coaches at any one time. So you'll notice in the report what we've addressed in terms of noise. There's many conditions in terms of the buses can't idle their engines when they're there. There's a small window that they can come in. Deliveries are at different times. So it's very, very well managed, that area, in terms of any noise and disturbance. But the primary change is that buses are accessing that area as opposed to the area on Greenfield Terrace. So the access was already there. It's just now being used for bus drop-off and service delivery vehicles. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm going to hold it open to any other questions, please. This is obviously a matter that we need to take careful consideration of. So, but I will move to a vote. There's no more questions. So could I have a proposal and a seconder, please?
I move, Chair.
Second.
Thank you very much. I'll first ask, is there anybody against? Does anybody want to say no to this, please?
Can we have a recorded vote, please, Chair?
Yeah, sure. Let's go to recorded vote. So, Gillian, could I ask you to run recorded vote, please?
Yeah.
Chair, I think.
Yep. Well, a verbal vote, yeah, I'll carry it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chair Mark Galvin, the
Okay, thank you.
clerk is going to run it, Chair, if that's acceptable.
That's great. Thank you very much, Gillian. Mark, please.
Councillor Barrow, then, please.
4.
Councillor Collins.
4.
Councillor Easterbrook.
4 in favour of a mindful for it going, subject to whatever may pop up in the future. But whatever may pop up in the future would need to be, in any case, a material objection. So as I sit here, I have concerns, but I think time sensitive. 4.
Thank you. Councillor Simon Griffiths, please.
4.
Councillor Harrison.
4.
Councillor Martin Hughes.
4.
Councillor Della Hughes, please.
4.
Councillor John.
Abstain.
Councillor Kendall, please.
4.
Councillor Llewellyn Hopkins.
4, please, Mark.
Councillor Pratt, please.
4.
Councillor, oh, sorry, that's it. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 for the recommendation, 1 abstention, no against. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that concludes the business today. So it's a special, so we do not have anything at the end or any other business. So thank you all for your perseverance today. And